Hello, this is Anne, Develop Your Intuition. I'm very privileged today to be with my friend and esteemed colleague, Samar Ciprian. She's a very, very gifted woman. She is the owner and proprietor of Moon Yoga, in which we have many of our Develop Your Intuition classes, and she has many thriving practices. And today I just wanted to ask her a few questions about how she uses her intuition. Samar, in your work, how do you use your intuition?
I guess like my first answer to that is there's very few areas where it isn't being used. So my professional practice is really bodywork based. And I spend a lot of time working on the abdomen with massage. And what I find is like when I get into a relaxed state and when the recipient of the massage is in a relaxed state, there's a lot of information going back and forth from my nervous system to their nervous system and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So my primary vehicle for receiving intuitive guidance in my practice is through touch. Other ways can just be, when I'm teaching a class, I teach movement classes, for example, is if I'm really tuned into the energy of the group, I'll get really strong messages about what we need to do next. And it's just a matter of like calming down and feeling what's coming through, because information's there all the time. A lot of the time it's our doubt that gets in the way of really allowing us to hear what's available to us.
So is that something that you've learned over time?
Oh yeah.
That it's doubt that gets in the way. So when you say you get messages, let's say in a class, I mean, does a giant spirit come, an angel come and knock you on the head and give you a piece of paper, or how do these messages come to you?
They're mostly visceral feelings. Like, I've had teachers in the past who've talked about different types of intuition. So like classically they'll say clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, something called clear knowing, where you just get a feeling. And it's like, for me, it's mostly feeling based. It's not so much, sometimes it's words, occasionally it's images. I get very excited when those things happen because they're not as common as just the feeling.
Yeah.
And so what I've had to learn over many, many years is to trust my feeling body. And, 80% of the time, I'm still questioning. And I know that, compared to, say, someone who's never done this, I have a pretty good track record.
You do have a very good track record.
And, I'm very grateful that life has given me that space to develop that. But even within that, it's like you're always trying to figure out, is this me? Is this coming from somewhere else? And in the end, it just feels different. And if I can get my ego out of the way long enough, then I can really identify how something feels. It's like if you smell a really beautiful essential oil, or you go to the drugstore and get some kind of deodorant, they don't smell the same, even though they're the same flavor or whatever. It's like silk doesn't feel the same as polyester. It's like being able to identify those subtle differences. And I know personally I can't do that when I'm emotionally involved in the outcome.
Okay.
So a big part of that is telling myself like a mantra all the time, this isn't actually about me. Like this isn't about getting praise from my client or praise from my students, or of course there's a human part that wants that, but it's like then the magic kind of gets shoved in the background if I'm waiting for praise all the time.
Yes.
So part of that is making sure I take care of myself and I get enough praise from the people that are close to me, and I ask for it, so that I'm not using my work as a place to get the emotional support I need in life, and I can actually just let spirit do its job.
That's great. That's really helpful. Samar, do people ever ask you for information or have a question and you don't have an answer? You don't pick anything up?
Yeah.
And if so, what do you do, or how do you feel about that?
I used to feel really pressured. I used to feel really like on the spot, like I had to provide them with something. And it's like, if I strained, I could probably find something. But now I feel like that's actually crossing a boundary with the source of spiritual information.
Oh, that's very interesting.
A big piece of this is understanding, like, again, it's that whole thing of like, it's not actually about me. If I'm receiving something, I feel it's coming from somewhere else. So I have to respect else and understand that they're only going to provide information when they feel it's appropriate. So I've kind of come up with a sentence I'll say to people is like, I'm not getting anything on that right now. And if they're disappointed, then maybe I'm not the best person for them to see, And that brings up another point that's interesting, is like my work is primarily physical and it's a vehicle to allow the intuition to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes some of the pressure off feeling like I just have to provide intuition on tap.
Mm-hmm.
It just allows it to be.
So something else is in charge.
Yeah.
And you're just doing your part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
you'll know if you get something and you'll know if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like you can't, I feel I can't anyway, call it up on some kind of, you know, like by order.
Yeah. Yes.
There are times where it flows and there are times where it's very simple and very subtle. You know? And I think even if someone is doing this as a profession, like a tarot reader or a psychic or whatever, there's going to be sessions where they get a lot more than others.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting peaceful with that. It's like some day you go fishing and there's more fish, and some days you go fishing and there's nothing.
That's a wonderful analogy. Well, thank you so much, Samar. And we'll be tuning into you later at other times. Thank you. But this was wonderful and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.